Hi everyone, Naka Onolafor here, back for another video. Happy New Year, and I just want to get into a topic that is very important to me. I know you notice on the thumbnail, you see Stephen Boss, otherwise known as Twitch, and Chesley Crest. And just a disclaimer, this video is not about their specific lives, not about the specific incidents surrounding their death. For those of you who don't know, these are two individuals who have taken their lives within the last, I'd say, maybe year or so. I mean, Twitch being pretty recent. I want to talk about something related to them. And anytime I think about what I'm getting ready to talk about, I actually think about them. And so the title of this video is No One's Coming to Save Us. And I just want to kind of delve into why I am making such a profound statement as that. So just really quickly, I'll give an example. It was, not too long ago, I was having a very difficult time. And in fact, it was probably one of the worst days of my entire life. And this was recently. And during this experience, I was asked maybe at least a couple times, maybe a few times, someone asked me, "How are you?" And I responded, "I'm good. How are you?" Twice. And again, this was arguably one of my worst days. And so why I am bringing this up is because I think that oftentimes, we see people, they look good on the exterior, they're nice people, they're accomplished, they're all these things. And many of us have all of us actually have our own internal struggles. And I have been struggling lately with some things that I'll probably reveal on this channel, with time. But, I just want to talk about how, it's almost like we live in two different planes. There's the outward appearance that we all show the world, the smiles, the, Instagram likes and posts and things like that. There's, the friendliness. And then there is, the internal self-doubt, the self-loathing, the self-deprecating comments and jokes. There are all the ways you question yourself and I guess worry or are concerned that, perhaps you are not at the place that you're supposed to be in life and so many other things. And these two planes that I'm calling them, these two worlds, if you will, are happening simultaneously. So you could be externally smiling and laughing and genuinely having a great time and enjoying your experience. At the same time, also be experiencing a lot of insecurity and doubt and questioning, either yourself or questioning something you said or did, or perhaps some of the work that you are doing, and so forth. And, I just want to, address that because my channel I started this channel as an emotional wellness channel for Black women specifically. And I will be remiss not to talk about this. And I do understand that oftentimes when a subject like this is brought up, you can't depend on the YouTube algorithm necessarily to push out your message, because we all know that the type of messages and the type of things that go viral oftentimes do not have to do with Black women and emotional wellness. What I really want to do is unpack, this whole idea of emotional wellness. And specifically in our culture, I ask myself, are we emotionally well or are we emotionally hiding? And I think the latter is probably true more often than not. And why, if we are emotionally hiding, why are we doing that? And, well, I'll use another example is I recently published a book, and it's a memoir, very, brief memoir about an aspect of my life. And I guess I never expected that something that I would create to heal myself could potentially cause harm to others. And again, when I say cause harm, I just mean, you never know how your words, written or spoken, will land on another person, right? So even if you're writing something that's healing for you, it could potentially be hurtful to someone else. And so, I thought about that and I said, wow, that is really a tragedy in some ways, that oftentimes as people, and not just me, but just as all people, it's really hard to find a place and a safe place to really let out your emotions. Now, of course, there's therapy, and we all know that. I think most people, especially most Black people, need therapy, myself included. But therapy's in most cases, it's once a week, right? So for like an hour. So what do you do with all the other hours, all the other minutes, all the other moments in a day where you feel, emotionally drained, or, you want to release your emotions. You want someone to understand your emotions. You want someone who can sort of help you with the way you feel. And the truth is that sometimes there is just no one to do that. Why? Because no one has had your experience. No one is in your head. No one else has lived in your body, So this expectation sometimes that we place even on a therapist or on a pastor or on our friends or family members to somehow make us feel better, and of course, I think that their intention, if someone loves us, their intention is going to be to make us feel better. But the truth is that there are some things that no one is going to get but you, right? Like, it is just your personal journey and you have to figure it out. It doesn't matter how many conversations you have with another person. It doesn't matter what someone says to you or what someone doesn't say to you, or if somebody's trying to protect your feelings. Like, you have to live and sit and rest and try to decipher your own emotions. And that is it can be a very difficult feat. And so as I think about, one, why I wrote a book about being an invisible Black woman, and also as I think about, when people ask this question, how could a person who is so happy, so beautiful, so fun loving, and everyone loves them, and they dance and they sing, and they, they're very communicative, and they have everything. They have the world at their, fingertips. How could someone like that be depressed? How can someone like that take their own life? And I don't know the answer to that. But what I can say is, again, people oftentimes, and in most cases, are of two minds. Again, like I said, you could actually genuinely be enjoying an experience, but then there are moments and things where that happen that trigger you. And I think through the publishing of my book and things like that, I'm learning more about triggers. Everyone has personal triggers. And so even if you have an issue and you talk to a friend about it, you go to one of your friends and you say, hey, I want to unpack whatever this is that happened to me. You also have to be aware of that person's triggers, and like, that person has their own thoughts about whatever it is you're saying. So you're trying to release and get help with whatever it is, but also, you're not doing that in a vacuum. You're still talking to another person who has emotions as well, right? And so I think a lot of times that dynamic may stop people from talking to other people about certain things. Again, because they may not be able to understand what you're talking about. They may have never experienced it. And quite frankly, sometimes it can just be exhausting to talk to other people because you kind of open up a door. And even say, once you resolve your issue, people might still ask you, oh, how are you? And what's going on? And let me have the update on that thing. And that's not a bad thing. Again, I genuinely think people want to help. But I'm highlighting, why people who struggle emotionally and even with their mental health, why they may not always be forthcoming with that. And I'm going to go back to what I said. I was having recently one of the worst days of my entire life. And when I was asked, how am I doing? Now, mind you, this was by someone who, it's not someone who I wasn't super close to, but someone who I know. I thought about, should I tell her how I'm really doing or not? And I think, the status quo in our society is to not actually be honest. When you're asked how you're doing, in most cases, we are socialized to respond and say, I'm fine, how are you? So not only are you, well, in my case, not only was I lying through my teeth, but then I'm also projecting the question back on this other person, kind of deflecting it. Like, oh, I'm fine. How are you? Like, let's take the focus off of me here. Let's focus on you. And I just think that that's, although I understand that that's how the culture works, and I understand that it is like the social way that we communicate. I mean, I don't know if we could handle really knowing how people are doing. But I think it is just unfortunate, because I think there's a lot of people walking around who are not emotionally well, perhaps not even mentally well, but they don't know how to express it. They don't have an outlet to really talk about it and feel seen and understood. And they can continue on like that until at some point they just can't, So, this is a hard truth. This is sort of like the adulting that nobody tells you about, right? Like, you have to save yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. People will help you. People will assist you. I have some amazing, super supportive people in my life who have absolutely been extremely helpful throughout my 40 years of life. However, most of these people, none of them have, we haven't walked the same path. They don't have all the answers, understandably, and as neither do I. And so as I'm going through my own, issues, they also have theirs. And I don't know if you've ever experienced, having a conversation with a friend and you're so excited to talk with them, and, you kind of give them your update, and they're also very excited to give you their update, or you may talk about, something traumatic that happened to you, and you're sharing. But the truth is that most people can't save you because they're trying to also save themselves. So if you think you're gonna, you might talk to a friend and they might make you feel better, or they might help you to feel better, either in that moment or maybe even long term. They might say something that resonates with you that you can replay in your mind, like, okay, that was helpful. But again, this reality that we're all sort of going through our own things. And so to think that, oh, I'm waiting to get married because if I get married, having a husband is going to save me, or as soon as I have a kid, or if I have another kid, that's going to really be my saving grace. Or once I get this job, that's it. Yep. That's going to, and it's going to, it never ends. Like, I have dreamed about being where I am today. I, not only published my second book, I'm officially a business owner, met an amazing man who I'll be marrying this year. And, like I said, a lot of things are happening right now that have been a dream of mine for a very long time. However, even within all the accomplishments and amazing things happening, I still struggle with self-confidence. I still struggle with questioning, not only questioning my work, questioning the value of it, wondering if it's any good, should I continue doing this, even my channel. I mean, I only have, slightly over 500 subscribers, but there was one point where I thought that I couldn't even imagine having, 560 subscribers. So, but even now, of course, I'm like, oh, well, I'm looking at other YouTubers who have, well over 10,000 and wondering, wow, can I ever get there? So again, a lot of the challenges that we have are internal and mental, and emotional. And, there's a lot of shame oftentimes around these emotions, specifically the mental and emotional challenges. And, like I said, there's very few outlets to reveal these things and safely without triggering someone else. And, I'm going to try to make more videos on this channel to hopefully help with this. I do believe that in some way I'm in the business of um, sort of not only working through this myself, but helping others work through this. And I feel like I have to kind of go through what I'm going through to be able to help other people get to the other side of whatever they're struggling with. And it's not easy, because I thought that, okay, well, once I, get to this place in life, like, whoa, I'm going to be so confident. But the truth is that I have confident moments, but then there's a lot of times that I'm just not. So emotions oftentimes make other people uncomfortable. Again, this is an emotional wellness channel, and I'll repeat that. Emotions oftentimes make other people, especially if you're expressing your emotions to someone else, it can make them very uncomfortable. And oftentimes they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to respond. And that is one of the reasons why I started this channel, is to combat a lot of things that we don't talk about in our culture and in our society. I want to not only display and highlight some of these things, I want to become more comfortable talking about these things. And I want to normalize talking about certain things. I don't want it to be taboo. And I want this to be a safe space to do that as much as I can. And so I'm going to really try to challenge myself this year with my content. It could be very difficult to get on camera and talk about things to people that I don't know. But I want to challenge myself, because if not me, then who? So also, just really quickly, I do want to touch on social media, because I think that, there's a misconception. And I was thinking about this as I was liking something on Instagram, and I was thinking about just even the notion of like hearting something, right? So of course, Facebook, you can like it, you can heart it, whatever. Instagram, like if you like something, you're giving someone a heart. And that symbolizes, love. It symbolizes you love it. It symbolizes you really, really, like it, or it symbolizes like a strong emotion, right? Like if I'm sending a heart to someone, it's a strong emotion. And it's just so funny. I feel like we have become so desensitized to just like clicking a button and sending a heart to random people on the internet. And it may be something that we really like or something that really resonated with us, but it's so fleeting, because it's like, okay, you send me a heart and you say you love it, and then that's it. Like there's nothing beyond that. And I'm doing the same thing to other people. And so I feel like it's just created this fictitious culture, this fictitious world where we're all like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love you. And it ends there. When the truth is that love is action, much more than just a heart that you're sending me on the internet. So I just wanted to kind of touch on, like I said, like the psychology of that. And so it creates like this illusion that there's all these people who love me, and there's all these people, on Instagram and YouTube who love me so much. And it's like, or they love what I have to say so much. And the truth is that, although, yes, in that 10 or 5 seconds, they said they love that thing, but now they're on to the next thing. And they may not even remember that thing that they said they love so much, And so I think psychologically, a lot of us may feel, or it may seem like we have like this great big community of people. And especially if we make a post that gets a lot of attention, it may feel very much like, oh, there's so many people who love me and have my back. And then the truth is at the end of the day, when you're going through something, when you have a challenge, a difficult challenge, you are wrestling with that internally. most people are not going online, and well, some people do, but most people are probably not going online and spilling all the juicy details about their misfortune and trauma and whatever happened. Like, they're dealing with that internally, and there's no one there to heart that. There's no one there to like that. There's no one there to send a, you know what I mean, send a heart. And maybe there is a friend or a family member who may know and could help. But what I'm saying is just like, I just feel like the culture we're living in, the time we're living in, could be very challenging for someone who is having, emotional and mental health issues. And it can be sometimes hard when you look around and realize that, like, wow, the majority of people who I communicate with on a regular basis are actually in the computer. And there's, they're in the computer, and they actually don't really love me. And so, yeah, I think that's as much as I can say about that. I just wanted to make this video. I thought it was an important one. And, rest in peace to Twitch, aka, well, Stephen Boss, aka Twitch. Rest in peace to Chesley Crest. Rest in peace to my brother, who had schizophrenia and took his life back in 2009. Rest in peace to my father, who also had schizophrenia and passed away at the age of 40, when I was a teenager. So comment below. Let me know what you think about this topic. No one's coming to save us. Again, I'm not talking about religiously. I know, yes, there are religious people like Jesus who, many believe are coming to save us, but I'm speaking about this in more of somewhat of a figurative sense, but also just, I think it's true. I think we need to save ourselves as Black women, as Black people, as people. So comment below. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, check the links in the description box, and stay tuned for more videos. Bye.